Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel, Kelly&Mark Show. They glowed above Mark Consuelos like silent witnesses, pressing down with a heat that made his skin feel tight, his breath measured. For years, millions had known him as confident, charismatic, unbreakable. He smiled easily. He laughed loudly. He played the role of strength so convincingly that even he sometimes believed it. But that morning, something was different. Ripa noticed first. She had spent decades beside him, on set, at home, in moments too small for cameras to ever capture. She knew the way his hand usually rested on the table, relaxed and sure. Today, his fingers trembled, just slightly. Enough. "Are you okay?" she whispered during a commercial break. Mark nodded, the way people do when they don't want to explain something that would change everything. When the cameras returned, the audience applauded as always. Familiar music played, smiles appeared on cue. But beneath the polished surface, a quiet storm was building, one that could no longer be held back. Mark cleared his throat. "There's something I need to say today," he began, his voice steady but fragile, like glass under pressure. Kelly turned toward him, confusion flickering across her face. The studio fell silent. "For a long time," Mark continued, "I've been carrying something I didn't know how to share. I told myself it would pass, that if I worked harder, smiled more, stayed strong, no one would ever notice." Kelly's eyes searched his face. This wasn't scripted, this wasn't planned. "I was diagnosed months ago," he said quietly, "and I chose to keep it private." A collective breath was held across the room and far beyond it. Kelly felt her chest tighten. "Months?" she thought. "You carried this alone?" Mark spoke of sleepless nights, of fear disguised as routine, of doctor's visits hidden between meetings and rehearsals. He didn't name the diagnosis outright. He didn't need to. The weight of it lived in every pause, every careful word. "I wasn't afraid of the diagnosis," he admitted. "I was afraid of becoming a burden, of being seen as fragile." That was when Kelly broke. Her hand flew to her mouth as tears welled, unstoppable. Years of shared laughter suddenly collided with a truth she hadn't been prepared to hear. "I didn't know," she said, her voice cracking. "I didn't know you were hurting like that." The confession shattered something inside her, not trust, but the illusion that love always knows everything. "I kept telling people we were fine," Kelly continued, turning toward the audience, toward the millions watching from home. "I told myself strength meant moving forward, but strength also means admitting when the person you love is scared." Tears spilled freely now. There was no camera angle gentle enough to soften the moment. Mark reached for her hand. "I didn't want fear to define us." "But it doesn't," Kelly replied through sobs. "Silence does." Her heartfelt confession cut deeper than any diagnosis ever could. She spoke of the quiet sacrifices partners make without realizing it, of how love sometimes becomes so strong it forgets to ask for help, of how fans see perfection but never the fragile human moments between applause. "To anyone watching," Kelly said, her voice trembling but resolute, "please don't wait. Don't protect someone you love by shutting them out. Let them in, especially when it's hard." The studio audience wiped their eyes. Social media erupted instantly. Fans around the world felt as though a private wall had fallen, revealing something painfully real behind celebrity glamour. Mark squeezed Kelly's hand. "This isn't the end of my story," he said softly. "It's just the part where I stop pretending I can do everything alone." Kelly nodded. "And it's the part where I promise no more secrets." When the show ended, the applause was different. It wasn't loud or celebratory. It was raw, respectful, full of understanding. Later that night, fans would call it tragic news. Headlines would scream about secret diagnoses and shattered hearts, but those who truly listened heard something entirely else. Not tragedy, truth. Two people choosing honesty over fear, love over silence, and courage, not as the absence of pain, but as the willingness to share it. And for the first time in a long while, Mark Consuelos felt lighter, not because the diagnosis had disappeared, but because he no longer carried it alone.